Kapanış raporuyla devam ediyoruz yayınımıza. Sermaye Piyasaları Kongresi'ndeyiz. Gene önemli bir konuğumuz var. Binance kurucusu, CEO'su Changpeng Zhao bizimle birlikte. Mr. Zhao, welcome to Ekotürk, welcome to Istanbul. Is it your first time?
Yes, this is my first time in Istanbul, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. You have an amazing story. Let's start with your story at first. How did you get into this business as an average person is trying to understand blockchain these days? What's your story?
Sure, I got into cryptocurrency, Bitcoin in 2013 when a couple of friends were playing poker with me. One of them was the ex-CEO of BTC China, one of the longest running exchanges before they shut down. The other one was his investor, Ron Cao. Both of them were really my really good friends for about 5 years before that. And one day they just told me that, hey CZ, you should look at Bitcoin, and you should understand what it is, and then you should put 10% of your net worth into Bitcoin. And most likely, there's a chance you will go to zero, so that you lose 10%.
It was how many years ago?
This is 2013, so 6 years ago. So I said, there's a small chance that you will go to Bitcoin will go to zero, then you lose 10%. But there's a higher chance you will go 10x, you will double your net worth. And they said it in a very serious way, like this is not a joke.
And this was an advice from your friend?
Yeah, this is advice from another CEO of another Bitcoin exchange back then.
Okay.
So I said, well, that's pretty interesting. Let me look at it. And then a few months later, I sold my house and bought all in Bitcoin. So it was a little bit of a crazy story. I would not recommend people to do that without understanding what Bitcoin or blockchain is. But that's how I got in. Yeah.
Okay. What is Bitcoin? What's blockchain in a nutshell? Let's tell to our viewers.
Sure. Blockchain is a technology that for the first time in human history, we're able to trust a system without a third party running it. So we can establish trust among a group of people without trusting any centralized party. And this has profound impacts on how we do business. So today, when we do business, we mostly rely on banks that we trust, or governments, or notary agencies, etc. But we no longer need, with this technology, we don't need those intermediaries. So if you think of money as an application, it's just a ledger between us and the bank. The bank keeps track of a record, and we just transact on it. But now we don't really, we can use the technology, we can use the network to replace that. And this has many profound implications. And Bitcoin is the first application that's really using the blockchain technology. So Bitcoin itself is a digital currency that with limited supply, and you can transfer to anyone, you can receive from anyone. So if you have your own, when you have your own Bitcoin address, you can send your own money to anyone else who have a Bitcoin address, and no one can interfere with you. You can send in very large amounts, very small amounts. You can send it to somebody who's in another part of the world. So it offers a very different type of freedom of transactions for money. So, very short answer, that's kind of what those things are.
And Bitcoin is the first cryptocurrency.
Yes, Bitcoin
is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Bitcoin had a very tough year in 2019. It's around, I think, 8,000.
Yes, it's right. Yeah.
So what's your expectation for 2020 for Bitcoin in terms of, can you give a range?
I can't make price predictions. Number one, I don't know how to predict it. I will most likely be wrong. But Bitcoin price has been fluctuating. It has higher fluctuations than fiat currency. But Bitcoin price depends on what's your time horizon. If you look at 1 year, or like a couple of months, then it may be dropping a little bit from the all-time high. But if you look at like 10 years of its history, it started at 3 cents US dollars to like 2 cents US dollars, to $2, $30, $300.
How much was it when you bought?
I bought it at $600.
$600.
Yeah.
Wow.
So today it's still $8,000 per Bitcoin. So
and
for
there's
me,
still upside.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe the industry is just beginning, so there's going to be a lot more people coming into this industry, and every government is also looking at the blockchain industry. So I think the industry will get a lot bigger. when the industry gets bigger, supposedly because the Bitcoin have only limited supply, the price should go up. But don't take my word for it. Yeah.
Okay, what was the reaction of your parents when you decided to sell your house and invest to Bitcoin?
They thought I was crazy. And especially, I bought at 600, and probably only a couple of months later, the price dropped to 200. So I lost 2/3 of a house.
Well, and then did you decide to sell or?
No, I just held on. So I'm not a good trader, so I just bought and held on. I knew I couldn't time the market that well, but I know that the industry will get bigger, the price will recover. So it took about 2 years for the price to recover in my case.
Okay.
But now it's recovered, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Well, your daily volume is approximately 1.6 over 1.6 billion. How did you achieve this? I mean, you sound very humble.
Yeah. So I think we should be humble because I think we got lucky. We were in an industry where there was very high demand, and we provided a product that people like. So my entire background, for 20 years, I was doing trading systems. So we had a trading system that's very stable, and that's very fast and relatively easy to use. And we had a very good customer service. And so, but there's just very high demand from everybody around the world. And so right now it's roughly, our trading volume fluctuates between $1 billion to $2 billion a day-ish. But so it's a very active market.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of debate about the cryptocurrencies. Are they commodities or investment tools? You know, how do you best describe the digital currency?
Sure. So I think digital currency should be classified as a new class. If you use any traditional financial assets to classify it, it does not fit, because digital currencies have a lot of mixed features. So with Bitcoin, you can store it as a value. You can use it to transfer. People trade it as sometimes as a commodity, sometimes as a derivative. So there's many different classifications. So it's kind of classifying what kind of a horse is a car. So if you look at Tesla, I say, hey, what kind of horse is it? There's no breed of horse that characterizes it. What cryptocurrency is, though, is it's a tool that can be used in transactions. So it can be used as a medium of exchange. It can be used to store value. It can be used to send money cross borders. It can be used as a commodity, and it can be used sometimes even as a security. So it has many different use cases. So it's very hard to classify into one narrow segment. And this is why the regulations on cryptocurrency is really tricky, because you can't really use the existing classifications for it.
Well, there are over 1,000 coins, and some are more popular, some are not. How do you? What's your evaluation? How do you invest in? How do you choose what to invest in?
Sure. So there are many cryptocurrencies, and most of them are very new. So my recommendation is usually learn about Bitcoin first. Bitcoin will teach you the basics of blockchain, and once you understand that, I think understanding Bitcoin is the first step, and then I would highly recommend understanding Ethereum to understand smart contracts. If you like that, then you can look at more other blockchains. Always understand the project before you invest in them. There's a lot of hype. My recommendation is never follow other people's recommendations. Always understand which project you invest in, and only invest in a small number of projects.
What do you think? What attracts people to cryptocurrencies? There's a hype about cryptocurrencies.
Yes, I think it's the level of freedom that cryptocurrency offers. So the early adopters of cryptocurrencies are very often libertarians, or people who are a little bit rebellious, or people who travel the world. They understand the limitations of fiat currency, and they're very freedom-seeking. So that's the early adopters. But now we're seeing, because the price have went from like 3 cents to like $8,000 now, we saw in 2017 a lot of investors, like speculators, people who are chasing money to come in. But now today we're seeing governments come in. So China announced they're going to invest very heavily in blockchain development.
Let's get the market closure.
Sure.
Evet, yayına devam ediyoruz. Bıraktığımız yerden devam edelim izninizle. Mr. Zhao, we want to close down the market. You know, the traditional market, it's up today. It's up by 0.67%, as my colleague said. So, what do you think about crypto stock exchanges and traditional exchanges? I mean, what's the difference?
There are many differences.
Okay, tell us a bit about the differences, please.
Sure. So first of all, the cryptocurrency exchanges, they run 24/7, so there's no close. So it's always running. So we don't have that period of time where it's open or close. Number two is most cryptocurrencies trade on multiple exchanges. So this means that there are many prices from many different exchanges. There are many arbitrage opportunities. So people run, many professional traders make a little bit of a price difference across different exchanges. So also there's not a for Bitcoin, there's no company behind it. So there's no quarterly reports. There's no earnings. It requires a different mentality. So all of those things are different.
So the investors really like this attributions?
So I think some investors do. It's a different type of investor. It's just a different way of trading. Where there's still news, but there's no centralized team behind a lot of the projects. So it's, for example, like Bitcoin or Ethereum. It's just a different type of analysis, different type of technical analysis, etc.
Are the regulations for the currencies ready? For instance, let's say I have lots of cryptocurrencies and I died one day, and can I give it to my daughter, for instance?
Sure. So there's different aspects of it. If you store your cryptocurrency with Binance.com, then we have a procedure. If there's a deceased person, we have a procedure to identify the next of kin. But your next of kin, your heirs need to know that you have an account with Binance. If you hold cryptocurrency yourself and you're the only one who have that private key, if you lose it, then no one can help you. So you have to actually set up procedures to let your heirs know how to recover it. So you should have a backup, you should encrypt it, and then you should give your heirs and make sure that they don't run away with it before you die. So there is a lot of processes that needs to take that you have to do yourself to take care of it. So it's a little bit tricky.
Okay, well, your exchange has a cryptocurrency called BNP, I believe.
Yes.
And you buy back with the profit you make, 20% of it, you buy back. Why is that?
So, well, we actually don't do the buyback because our income already are in our own coin. So, with the BNB coin, you can use our coin to pay for our services. So our income is already in BNB mostly because there's a discount if you use BNB to pay for trading fees. And this way, we allow people to pay us directly. And at the end of the quarter, every quarter we burn some BNB just to reduce the supply. This way, when we first issued our coin, the Binance coin, BNB, we said we're going to reduce the supply up to 50% of the total supply. So we continue doing that.
Okay. Well, central banks are thinking of issuing their own digital currencies. What's your take on this?
I think it's great. I think it's great for our industry that central banks are now using blockchain to issue their own currencies. And I think the more currencies that are issued, the better, because the more choices people have. So we welcome that very much.
And what makes a cryptocurrency preferred by consumers? We talked about there's over 1,000 cryptocurrency.
Yeah. So I think number one, the cryptocurrency should have its core features: limited supply, easy to trade, easy to transact, and then there's other core features like are there active team building the technology behind it, evolving it, and making it faster, making it better, etc. So there's different types of cryptocurrencies. Not cryptocurrencies are the same. So but overall, it's very fundamentally, I think it's the ease of use, as cheap as possible, and as much freedom as possible. If you can achieve those three things, people will like it.
Okay. Last question. What's your last message to the Turkish audience, for instance, about the Turkish coin? Did you talk to the authorities about this?
No, we have not talked in a lot of depth, and we can't discuss a lot of the discussions we have. But I think Turkey is already in a leading position in terms of blockchain adoption and cryptocurrency progress. So I think it's very key to maintain that momentum and keep pushing the progress. And I think Turkey will become a leading financial tech hub in this region or in the world.
And what's your message for Ekoturk, which is a year-old business channel, Turkish business channel?
I think you guys are doing great, and I thank you for the opportunity to invite us. And I think you just cover more news that people want to hear. And yeah.
Mr. Zhao, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Evet, bu notlarla kapanış raporunun bugün sonuna geliyoruz. Yarın görüşmek üzere. Türkiye Sermaye Piyasası Kongresi'nden size harika bir akşam diliyoruz. Hoşça kalın.